So I've been working on my game over Christmas break, and it's going really well. I've got the overworld portion of it pretty much to a point where it's functional, and a lot of the stuff that I was designing in theory, like, thinking like, if I design it like this, will I get this kind of experience? A lot of that stuff has been panning out pretty much exactly how I was hoping. For context, this is the overworld portion of the game that I've been showing recently. So you go like into a dungeon, and then you play that sort of XCOM-like experience. But then in between rounds, you're in this sort of board game phase where you're making overarching decisions in terms of where to go and what to do and how to spend your time and resources. And the primary thing up here really is time, because you have a finite number of turns and you have a finite amount of food per turn to move around with. So every space costs a certain amount of food to move through. The more people in your party, the more food it costs to move. So you could theoretically have a ton of guys in your party and like totally stomp the dungeons, but then you're going to be completely unable to move very far. And it worked out to be like a nice sort of rubber band mechanic where if most of your guys die in a dungeon, you can kind of easily run across the map to somewhere that you can recruit new guys and kind of recover your run and continue off where you left off. So I'm spawned here in the bottom left corner, and my goal is to defeat all of the dungeons, which I can see. And in order to explore the map, I'll have to move to the edges and then spend a little bit of food to like reveal additional tiles. And pretty much the most optimal first move here is just going to be go to this dungeon. I can't really do anything until I start to gain money, or also known as scraps, by fighting these dungeons. So it's the first thing I got to do. And I will do that just by clicking on this. And the dungeon portion for now is just a randomly generated outcome because I really want to focus on testing the board game gameplay. So I don't want to like go into the dungeons and worry about fighting all of that and have it like, this game, I'll probably play through this whole thing in the next 5 minutes. But an actual game will probably take like an hour because the dungeon portions would take so much time. So the randomized outcome has given me some scraps. I actually got the maximum possible scraps, which is nice. And then my characters have taken a little bit of damage. They didn't actually take that much, so that's pretty good. And now I have 8 food left on this turn with which I could move a little bit, or I think I'm actually just going to explore, see what's up here. Definitely think I'm going to want to stay, so I'll end my turn and stay on the path. I can move over here, and another turn, explore. Ambulance is, I guess, nice. It's a little bit early to get it. It gives me a couple of free healing items. So I can heal Tom, and then I guess I'll also heal Elise. Would have been nice to get that a little bit later after they're a little closer to dead, because attrition is a serious son of a bitch in this game. It can be really easy to just slowly get worn down, get screwed on the RNG as you're like exploring the map and not really get anything useful. I think the thing to do here is move up one and turn, and then we can explore. The gym is pretty sweet. I can't tell what that is. The random orientation when these are text-based, not ideal. Obviously, a lot of these are placeholder assets, and there will be actual art for the locations. So if I interact with the dungeon, boom, got more scraps. Everyone's still doing pretty good, I think. So I'm assuming that this road sort of loops up to this dungeon, so I think I'm going to stay on the path. Don't really want the gym that bad. If I had been taking worse hits in these dungeons, I'd be much more inclined to want to run off to one of these shops, but I'm actually doing pretty good. Another ambulance. That's just ridiculous. And then I guess we're going through the forest. Not ideal. It's a little slow. This forest is mad expensive to move through. There we go. At least there's a path here. We can go here. End my turn. Go to this dungeon. And we will clear it. Elise and Z getting a little low. And now, like I said, this is another sort of perfect example of the decision-making that's going to happen. Like, the things that you have to sort of be weighing is like, I don't know what's over here between me and this dungeon. This might be pretty much all the shops that I'm going to get. And all my guys are pretty low, except Tom, who's basically just a human building. So, like, do I want to spend... Is it going to 2 turns, maybe 3, to just go here and back? Because I can go here on this turn, and I can hit it, and then maybe get back to like here. It's going to be 3 turns to heal up. And I don't know what's going to be in there in that ambulance. That ambulance could have 4 healing items. It could have 1. So I think I'm going to, for sure, explore just to see my options. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of take a long sweep down this way. I'm assuming this road's probably going to continue down here. So again, going to try to stick to the roads. And I can maybe explore a little bit on my way to get some better context for what's out here. Okay, so can't tell what the heck these are. I think I'm going to go here, and then depending on what we see here, maybe stop by here. We'll see. Still got more than half my turns left, so we're looking pretty good. I'm going to end my turn, go here. Got mad scraps. So I could recruit somebody, but that's really going to slow me down. Like if I was anticipating my... I was going to say if I was anticipating my guys dying, I would do it, and I kind of am. It's a good chance someone will die in the next dungeon. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get Sheriff, and then I'm going to upgrade Tom and Sheriff twice each. It doesn't actually matter what things I do. This just affects the RNG of the algorithm that runs the dungeons. Obviously in the actual gameplay, these would give me specific benefits when I'm in the dungeons, but right now it's basically doesn't matter. Just having higher levels gives me better outcomes to dungeons. So I can explore. Not great. Just acquired a new guy, and it's all forest between here and there. I assume that there would be road. I think it is still more optimal. So you can see now the cost associated with having a larger team is now I can literally, on a turn, I can move one space into the forest, and I can still do 2 on a road. But that's gonna be 1 turn, 2 turns. If there's no roads, that's gonna basically eat the rest of my fucking turns just going through the forest. I might have doomed myself. All right. I can explore at least. All right, there's a road. End turn. And I can move 1 forest and 1 dirt. That's pretty nice. Okay, we're maybe not completely doomed. I'm actually kind of hoping someone's going to die in this dungeon. We'll see. Boom. No one's dead. I'll explore. And we're definitely going to have to take the road. God willing, the road actually leads to the dungeon. Not all dungeons have to have a road leading to them. They can spawn in the forest. Can I move at all? No. To end my turn. Up here. Explore. Ugh, it's not great. I'm not going to recruit somebody, but I can drop a couple more levels on my guys. Though, if anything, at this point, I would almost want worse outcomes to my combat encounters. Some of these guys will die so that I can more easily move around. All right, end turn, go here, interact. Nobody's dead still. And we're out of turns, so I lose. But I think that sort of definitely gets the idea of the game across as you're like exploring this land. You like don't know what you're going to stumble across. You're making these decisions of like, do I go through the forest and spend the extra movement, or do I go around? Do I bank on there being a road here? Do I not? Do I risk going into this dungeon with less heroes and maybe getting totally stomped, or slowing myself down so it's harder to get through? I think the balance currently is not really quite there. I mean, obviously, I made maybe 1 small mistake, and it cost me the game. So I think there's definitely some more balance to be done in terms of like the cost associated with having additional guys and maybe like the movements, how much movement points you get in general. But yeah, I think this is it. So you imagine like this is the game. You're going places, you're making decisions, and then in the real game, when you go into a dungeon, you're going to be in this sort of cool XCOM style horror monster fighting game. So like the idea is that you're going to be more invested in what's happening in the dungeon because of what's happening in the overworld. Like if you just got down to your last guy and you had to run all the way across the map to recruit somebody and come back, you're going to be, you're going to be really stressed about the situation. Or if you just pumped all your points into like, giving yourself additional damage on one character, and then he's like at really low health in that dungeon, it's really gonna, I hope, make that sort of dungeon gameplay more interesting and more engaging, and just make you more invested in the outcome. And true to form, my Christmas break is not a break at all, and I'm doing like 12 hours a day on this game, but I'm having fun, and that's all that matters.